So please help me welcome Dr. Sean McDaniel.
Sounded like a golf clap. Look at you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So thank you, Teresa, for the introduction. I am extremely grateful for the opportunity to talk to you today about Oklahoma City Public Schools. For the past couple of months, I have been drinking from the fire hose. So what I'm going to do for the next 15 minutes or so is turn that fire hose back to you and give you as much as I can in the time that I have. So attached to your chairs are seat belts, so if you'd buckle up. Zach, I saw you actually looking for the seatbelt. This is going to be good. I appreciate all of you being here today. So what a difference 1 year makes. Last year at this very function, I was sitting in the back with a half a dozen from my team in Mustang, and we were listening to the superintendent roll out some of the vision for the schools and give us the state of the schools last year. Little did I know, never crossed my mind that 1 year later, here I would be addressing this group. So since then, as Teresa has kind of lined out for us, education has experienced a great deal. We were all participants or observers of this thing we call the teacher walkout and all that came from that. Certainly a historic time. But there are some things that I don't want you to forget that happened kind of behind the scenes maybe from your perspective in public schools. So big national or international type things that occur that we watch on television and the impact that those things have on public schools. So things like DACA, protests, kneeling for the anthem, the election cycle. I could go on, and all of these national type things have school level impact, and we deal with those things from the teacher level, from the school leader level, all the way to the district level. Lots of things have gone on that we're paying very close attention to. Lots of challenges and changes, but of course the biggest change for me, outside of kicking my youngest son out of the house off to TU and us now being empty nesters, my wife Tracy. Thanks for being here today, Tracy. Yeah. I'm going to talk about you here in a minute. But the biggest thing outside of that has been this new gig, this new position, and I am extremely grateful to have the opportunity given to me by our Board of Education to be the superintendent of schools for Oklahoma City. It's been a lot to digest in a short amount of time, but I am honored. Before we dive in and go any further, I want to take just a minute to recognize our board members. So if you are a member of the Oklahoma City Public Schools Board, would you please stand up and allow us to recognize you? Got a quorum. Uh-oh, wait a minute. You guys split up. Thank you all for being here and supporting me today. And then I know I have several cabinet members and principals and other employees maybe scattered. If you're an employee of the Oklahoma City Public School District, will you please stand and allow us to recognize you as well? All right. Thank you. So I feel compelled right now to do many of you in the room a big favor, and in doing this, I'm actually going to save you a little bit of money. So the first couple weeks that I was on the job, I was asked dozens of times a series of questions. Same questions offered up by dozens and dozens of people. And I'd get home and Tracy would ask me, how'd your day go? And I'd tell her a little bit about the day, but I'd always say, you know, if I had a nickel for every time somebody asked me whatever the question was, I would be rich. And so I'm going to do you this favor, and this is for this group only, so if you hear me speak next week or later this week, I'm going to charge you a nickel if you ask the question. So my strategy changed. Instead of wishing that I would have had a nickel, every time these questions are asked now, I'm charging you a nickel. Today I've got 37 nickels in my pocket, and so I'm going to give you a reprieve. So here are the questions. You can imagine, here are the answers. So you can imagine what the questions might be. So number one, a frequently asked question. Are you aware that you're the 13th superintendent in the last 18 years? Yes, I am aware. Saved you a nickel. The second is, are you aware that you're the 4th superintendent in the last 2 years? Yes, I am aware. So you don't need to ask that. Save your nickel. And then another popular question is, are you enjoying your job? And I've got to say a resounding, absolutely, yes, I'm enjoying this job. And the reason I'm enjoying this job is because the people who are around me. And I'll talk a little bit about our people here in just a second. Now, there are 2 other questions that I want to dive into a little bit more. I don't know if you care about this or not. There's probably some curiosity in the room, and I do get asked this a lot. So I've been asked this about 3,000 times in 3 months. Why did I take this job? I had a great gig in Mustang. I had a great team, a very forward-thinking board, just signed a new contract, a lot of great things going on in that community. But there are a couple of things that really captured me about Oklahoma City Public Schools. One was in the form of my wife. Again, we have a rule in our house that there is no whining allowed, and we don't complain unless we come to the table with some potential solutions. And what I found myself doing, well, I should rephrase that. What she found me doing over the last several years was when there was a change in leadership in Oklahoma City, I would sit in front of the television and I would whine about it. Why can't they keep a superintendent? What happened? What's going on? And she would be patient with me and remind me, so what are you going to do about it? If you're not going to do anything about it, can we just zip it up? There would be another transition, and at the dinner table with my son and Tracy, I would whine again, but I would offer nothing. Just, I can't believe they're going through another one. And she finally had had enough, and one evening she said, all right, here's the deal. We've got a rule in this house. Unless you come with some solutions, you got to quit whining about this. Either step up and do something about it, or just don't talk about it anymore. So I got to thinking. And one thing led to another. I don't know why I hadn't thought about this before, but my background is very similar to what is going on in Oklahoma City. I was raised in Federal Heights on the north side of downtown Denver. K-12, that's my neighborhood. I'm going back there this afternoon, and just so you know, President Gallagher, I'm going to have to slip out a little early. I'll try and catch all of your speech. But my father is having a library named after him this afternoon at 4:30 in Denver. So we are so proud of him, and I want to make sure I get there for that. And then I'll be back on a plane first thing in the morning. But the other piece of why I wanted to come here was just that this, when you drive south Oklahoma City, you know, I went to U.S. Grant the other day and walked the building and got to go to Mary Golda Ross Elementary School, and that south side of Oklahoma City could be my neighborhood where I grew up. So it is very familiar. My 5 best friends in the whole world growing up in my neighborhood were from Hispanic descent, and I spent my lifetime in their homes. And what I did learn was about their culture. What I wish I would have paid more attention to was their language, because now I had to spend my birthday Barnes & Noble gift card to go buy Spanish for Dummies. I really did this. And I've enrolled in our Foundations after-school course where I'm going to learn how to speak Spanish. I will do whatever I need to do to better connect with our kids in our community. Of course, not everybody was on board. My dad, I mentioned him, 42-year veteran in education. I won't tell you exactly what he said when I told him that I was considering moving to Oklahoma City into the district, but he really challenged me and asked me those great questions that dads do, and now it's a reality. And I could not be more thrilled. The next question, and then we're going to dive into some observations, is how long will I stay? That is a quarter question. So if you ask me that, that's a quarter. Okay. I cannot see into the future, but my plan is to stay. I pitched out the number 10. My intention is to stay. And if I can get 10 years and then reevaluate and see how the Oklahoma City Public school's machine is running, then we'll reevaluate at the time. Of course, as you know, that decision is not entirely up to me. Speaking of the board, I want to tell you about some things that mean a great deal to me, just personally, professionally. I think these things make other things work. Unfortunately, over the years, and I've watched this as a resident of Oklahoma City, I think this happens from time to time in organizations. Outsiders take possession of the narrative of the organization. Okay, so when I was outside of the district, doing my thing in Mustang and other districts and having my conversations, you would hear an outside narrative about what is happening in Oklahoma City. And I'm here to tell you, I don't know everything about Oklahoma City public schools, but I do know that the narrative is much different inside than it is outside. And it begins with people. I have never met in my life so many passionate people that are employees of this district who love to come to work. They love our kids. They love doing what they do. Despite the monumental challenges that the district has had over the years, they still come to work, and they do everything within their power to make things right for kids. And I love that about the city. And I love that about our school district. We have board members who I became convinced very quickly, and so you kind of know the backstory. What I try and do is meet with them individually. Had an opportunity to do that multiple times with each of them and talk to them on the phone, and they can get to understand me and I can get to understand them. I became convinced very early that every one of our board members cares deeply about our kids. And further, they understand better than anybody the challenges that we face. And so I have had a wonderful time getting to know this board. They have done some incredible things to date, and I am very confident that they will continue to do that. So that's what I've noticed. Here's another thing. In case you didn't know, Oklahoma City Public Schools is a gigantic district. I want to give you some numbers just to put this in context. Oklahoma City Public Schools runs the largest restaurant in the state, serving over 400,000 meals per week. We have the largest transportation fleet, the largest Wi-Fi network. We have 52 languages spoken, 6,000 employees and 45,000 students in 85 schools. It is a gigantic organization. I need just a second to let that sink in. Wow. That's big. That's a lot. It's a lot of customers and a lot of stakeholders. But here's what I expect to happen. This is not a hope. I had a guy that I worked with for years, and every time somebody would say, I hope this, I hope that, he would always return with, hope is not a strategy. You've got to get from hope to expectation. So here's some expectations I have. There is greatness all across the public school district in Oklahoma City. Greatness everywhere. Everywhere you turn, you will see a pocket of it. The expectation needs to be that we will have an excellent school district and that will dominate the narrative moving forward. Not, it's kind of good over here, it's really good over here, it's not so good over here. We expect to have an excellent school district. And so I think the narrative has to change that way, and we do that by action. Here are a few innovative programs and partnerships that I was excited to see in place as I arrived. And this is a glimpse. We have a bilingual teacher pipeline. This is one of the most innovative things that we have going. Us and a handful of districts across the country are doing this. And so if you are a support employee in Oklahoma City Public Schools and you speak Spanish, we will pay 100% of your bachelor's degree and plug you in as a teacher in our school system. So you're a support employee, you speak Spanish, we pay for your bachelor's degree while you're continuing to work for us. Right now we have 39 teachers in the pipeline, and we will add that to our teacher corps very soon. With a student population that's 54% Spanish speakers, that is something that we need more and more and more of. And we're excited for that to grow. We have a Summit Learning program. For those not familiar with it, this is a technology-based, self-paced student program. We have it in 10 schools. We're going to expand. We're seeing some pretty impressive results right now. We have a tremendous partnership with OU. Recently we added 5 new social workers to our school district. And with each social worker through this partnership, we will get 3 practicum students. So 15 students by adding 5 additional social workers to address the many challenges that our kids face. You may be familiar with Fields and Futures, Tim McLaughlin and his bunch. They had a vision, Tim had a vision that if kids will stay in school and graduate, they will become productive. How do you keep kids in school? You appeal to them. They've got to have something they connect to. And so Fields and Futures said, we're going to build brand new athletic complexes and fields at every middle and high school in the district. Okay, so he's taken that on. So if kids play, they will stay. If they stay, they will graduate. We know the mountain of evidence and research that speaks to kids who belong to some sort of extracurricular or after-school program. Their chances of graduating exponentially increase. They will stay out of trouble. They'll attend more. All those good things, outcomes that we desire, will come to pass. And so our Police Athletic League partnership, get this, last year alone, PAL was in over 40 of our elementary schools, reaching over 3,000 elementary age kids, providing mentoring, coaching, homework help, tutoring, really adopting kids to meet the needs that they have while providing them a venue to participate. We just opened a child care center at U.S. Grant High School so that high school students who have children, babies, don't have to drop out, they don't have to quit, they don't have to give up on their dreams. They have child care, and it's bilingual child care when needed, right there on campus, so that they continue their studies. We met a young lady who's a volleyballer, a basketballer, and runs track, and before this came around, she was contemplating dropping out of school. And now she has a way to continue pursuing those dreams that she has. Hudeberg has just partnered with our foundation. They're donating a car in our driving attendance campaign. So this May, one of our high school seniors will receive a car. So I could go on and on and on. I think the gist of this, as you understand very clearly, is without our community support, our ceiling becomes very low. And we are so grateful for what you do. I had no idea the depth of the generosity in our community until I came on board the last couple months. So in the last 30 days on the job, I've logged about 100 meetings, small group, big group, 3 or 4 a day, individual. And in those meetings, hundreds and hundreds of you and others have said, plug me in. How can I help? I want to be a part of the success of the school district. Study support from our incredible foundation. We have Code a Kid programs. We have Kit a Kid programs. The bilingual pipeline that I mentioned. Partners in Action. The foundation is incredible at connecting our community partners to the needs that you heard Teresa talk about, and we are grateful for them. So, kind of coming in for a landing here, equally important, all the things that you've heard me talk about are the areas of opportunity that I believe exist in our school district. When I came on board, I occupied my time with meetings and then reading as much as I could, the strategic plan, all the documents, the budget, everything I could get my hands on. I wanted to read it. I wanted to become familiar as best I could through the documents that were available. And so, very pleased to find some good stuff in our strategic plan. You know it as the Great Commitment. It is full of SMART goals that are sustainable, that we can reach, that we can measure. It is full of great strategies, 4 pillars for success. So I'm not going to be the guy that comes in and totally upends everything and wipes the slate clean and says, I'm going to bring my stuff in. I'm going to look to see what has promise. We're going to collaborate as a team in Oklahoma City Public Schools, and we're going to keep things that have potential to work on the tracks. I think that's a relief maybe for some, because the 13 and 18, that brings a lot of heartache, a lot of fatigue. And many times when people come in, as most of you know, there is this, let's wipe the slate clean and bring in good stuff that I think will work. And in this case, what we're going to focus on in the plan is we're going to focus and accelerate the measurement piece and the monitoring piece. They're not missing, but we're going to pay more attention to that. And so great plans, great goals in place. Clearly, we need to do a better job in increasing our academic results. We recognize that. And so the things that we put in place, the things that we choose to accelerate, will get us to that end. Another thing that we're very focused on is the conversation about equity. If I ask 12 people in the room to define equity, I'm going to probably get 4 or 5 different answers. And so we have whittled to a single term or definition that we have collectively gotten a hold of, and then it will manifest itself in a number of different ways. But I think for me and for us, when we talk about equity, we're talking about providing access to opportunities to everyone, every student in the district, regardless of what part of town they live in. We want them to have access to opportunity. Many times what they do with opportunity, they're going to need help with that, and we cannot be fully responsible for that. But what we can be fully responsible for is providing access to the opportunity and removing obstacles that are in the way between our kids and that thing we call potential. And so we are laser focused on that initiative. I think it's important to know that I think from me to our team, and we all understand this, that equity is not an initiative. Equity is a way of life. It's the way we do business. It is embedded in our thinking. It is embedded in our action. It has to do with equitable staffing, equitable resources. It has to do with a lot of other things besides just that simple opportunity, access to opportunity. So we're fleshing that out, and we're creating action plans, and we're very excited about that work. Our board has been very thoughtful about this over the last couple of years, and we're one of the very few districts around that has an actual adopted school board policy that speaks to equity. So it's not a guideline. It is not something we hope for. It is something that our board has said, this is a priority in this district, and we will take action steps to get where we're going. So I'm very pleased with that. A lot of other things that we're looking to do. I know that I'm running up on my time, and as with most things in business, this comes down to, and I know you all are familiar with this at some point in your careers, that we've got to learn how to be innovative and how to do more with less. I am absolutely thrilled at the step that was taken in our legislative session last session. It is a huge positive step for public education and for our teachers, and I fully expect that to continue. Have been able to develop great relationships with many of our legislators. I think that there is an optimism. There's going to be a lot of hard work to be done, but I'm looking forward to this next session. And so finally, wrapping it up, I want to leave you with these thoughts. You know, we're getting ready to undertake some real hard decision making in our district. We've enlisted a firm to come in and do a facilities audit across our district. Every facility, every school, every structure. We're going to be provided with a one-pager or a cut sheet of sorts that gives all the data from enrollment trends over the last 5 to 10 years to square footage, to utility usage, to academic achievement. We're going to get all this information, and then we're going to make some decisions moving through this year about what our school district looks like moving forward. Hard decisions will be made, but I kind of look at it this way. Our kids are used to hard things. You know, we have a picture, I thought we had a picture of Courtney, get there, of graduates. And so if we want to get there, many of our kids are going to go through some very difficult challenges. I want to give this to you in context. You know, the least that we can do as adults is make the hard decisions, and in doing so, make their lives better. Our kids are described this way, statistically, okay? So obviously There are exceptions to this. Over 90% qualify for free and reduced lunch in our district. And for those who are unaware, a free and reduced number is simply an indicator of poverty. Oklahoma is number 1 for females who are incarcerated and number 3 for males, and number 1 overall for incarceration. And many of those inmates have children in our school system. In fact, in Oklahoma City Public Schools, 1 of 4 across our district, remember we're a district of 45,000 students, 1 of 4 has had at least one parent who has been incarcerated. Hundreds of our children are in foster care. Over 3,000 children last year, Oklahoma City Public School students, over 3,000 were identified as homeless. If I walk into a classroom today of 25 kids, 16 of them, according to the survey that was referenced earlier, have experienced moderate to severe depression in the last 12 months. 16 of 25 across our district. And 1 in 5, according to the same survey, say that they have a feeling of hopelessness. And I'm telling you that to tell you this. Our kids are incredible. You know, I get so tired of the narrative about kids today, they're gamers and they're lazy and this and that. I'm here to tell you that our kids today are the most creative, innovative, compassionate kids we've ever had in any generation, in my opinion. And so they're going to make it, but good. They're going to make it, but they need our help. And so that is an aim that we have. And you know, I'm not much for sugarcoating, and I hope I haven't done that today. This is a reality. I don't want to stand in front of you and just put my hand out and say, hey, we need your help. We will commit to doing the hard work internally. We'll dig through the data, we'll look for inefficiencies, and we'll look for solutions. And we will make hard choices. And I commit to coming back to you with positive reports. We're going to be very transparent through any process that we undertake. And so I want to bring celebration back to you. So what do we need from you? Whether or not they walk in and out of your front door every day or do their homework at your table, they are yours. These students are yours. They're not ours and ours alone. We all have a stake in the success of our public school system. We need them to be able to walk in and out of all of our doors successful and ready to become productive citizens. And that's a great challenge. And I would ask that you all consider continuing to be a part of that or step up and begin becoming a part of that. As business leaders, you know the challenges better than anyone associated with recruiting folks who do not have the basic skills that they need to be successful with you. So the foundation is a vital part of making these connections. They are the conduit that allows our community to get involved through Partners in Action and Donors Choose. There are a myriad of things that you can do, including being reading buddies, being mentors, helping with supplies and backpacks, etc. I know that trust is a difficult thing, but I believe we can do this together. Everyone loves to be a part of a success story, and I appreciate the success stories that you have been a part of, and I would invite you to continue down that path. Now, I know that I'm on the clock here, and that I'm in the way of lunch and President Gallagly. And you can believe I do not want to get on his bad side. So, thank you. I appreciate you.